Remarkable, Dr. Akim Additional, the president of the African Development Bank. We're still on President Bola Tinubu. He has departed France for London, United Kingdom, for a private visit. Presidential spokesperson Dele Alake disclosed this in a statement on Saturday. He says Mr. Tinubu had concluded his official trip to Paris, France, and is billed to return to Nigeria today, but had to leave for London for a short private visit. The statement says the president will be back in the country in time for the upcoming Ede Festival. During his stay in France, the president had an outstanding participation in the Summit for a New Global Financing Pact hosted by French President Emmanuel Macron. Aside his participation at the event, where he represented Nigeria well, he also held high-profile sideline meetings with fellow heads of state and governments, global business leaders, and chief executives of leading multilateral and development finance institutions from around the world. Let's discuss some of these issues further as we are being joined by public affairs analyst Atiku Abubakar. Sir, thank you very much indeed for coming on Newsnight.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Now, let's begin to look at the president's visit and, of course, some of the things already going on in the Senate. Let's start from the president's visit, and then we can move to the events going on in the Senate. It's the first official visit of President Tinubu to outside of the country. He went to France, had several meetings with business leaders, and of course, President Emmanuel Macron. Let's have your assessment of how he represented Nigeria to the global community.
Yes, the president has not disappointed Nigerians. He has been on track, and even outside the country, he did very well. We are proud of him, and we want him to maintain the momentum as it is right now. Okay, before we move to the Senate, you heard what Dr. Akim Additional says about the president's passion and interest in agriculture. Are you expecting that meeting with Dr. Additional to bring about some form of incentives for agribusiness in Nigeria? Absolutely. The president, being a very knowledgeable leader, knows how to tap from the position which Akim currently occupies. So we are expecting that good things will be coming in the nearest future. Okay, now the Senate. It was a tall order getting the Senate leadership installed when the 10th Assembly was inaugurated, June 13. And then you would think that after the dust had settled, then they will just resume business as usual, and then we'll have the leadership take ownership of the House, and then we'll begin to see bills and discussions around nation building. But now the minority caucus is coming out to say the executive forces, as I put it, within and outside the Senate, are picking interest in the minority leadership. What's their business with that? Let me start by saying that once any foundation is faulty, you can never get it right. Amazing. In the first instance, a Senate president was foisted on the National Assembly. I did say here on this platform that Akpabio is not the right person to occupy that position. And I'm beginning to be proven right as it is now, because you cannot completely exonerate Akpabio from all the things happening now in the Senate, because all the external forces has a link even to Akpabio. And that is what we are beginning to see. I did say on this platform that Akpabio does not have the moral uprightness to occupy the exalted position of the Senate president. Why do you say that? That's a very strong allegation if you're saying that the 10th Senate president, Senator Godswill Akpabio, does not have the moral uprightness to hold the Senate together. Why do you hold such a strong opinion? Don't forget that he is currently facing charges and he's in the court. What happens? in the event that he is convicted and sent to the prison.
Okay, let's move away from that. I don't want us to make it too personal. Anyway, you have absolute right to your opinions, honestly. But then, now, how does that now translate to picking interest in who governs the minority caucus? Because I believe that the purpose of having a minority leadership is to give the minority a voice in the Senate, which allows us to have a robust discussion, robust conversations around nation building and policy formulation. So tell us, why would forces within and outside take advantage of the processes that led to the emergence of the Senate leadership to now want to influence the minority caucus?
Of course, because of the kind of Senate president we have, they will also, himself will also want a weak minority leadership so that he will be able to have his way. And that is why all the things happening in the Senate now, they want a weak leadership that they will be able to have their way. That is exactly what is happening. So we are not surprised. I had predicted this because the principle of checks and balances will be completely thrown away if you don't have a leader or the leadership that will be able to do the right thing and call the executive to order when they go astray. So what is happening? But I am happy that the caucus of the Senate minority, they have come out to say that they will not allow that to stand. I read a press statement that was signed by distinguished senators from the minority parties, including the senator from NNPP, Senator Kawu, the senator from Bayelsa, that from Kebbi. I read that and I was very impressed. I am happy because we have men of integrity in the minority caucus, and they will not allow that. So Nigerians, we can go to sleep because we have those that have the capacity to checkmate the current leadership.
Okay, now, a house divided against itself cannot stand. Atiku Abubakar, hope you agree with me. Now, we have a Senate first before we have minority caucus. It's more important to me, I think it's more important, and to citizens, it's more important to have a formidable house than anything else. So how do we then avert this brewing crisis such that we do not have a house divided against itself? We want a robust house. We want a house where there will be diversity, as already shown in the numbers of the senators from the different political parties. But then how do we have a formidable house such that it doesn't come crumbling like a pack of cards?
Well, the current little disagreement cannot in any way affect the performance of the Senate. It is good. It's good for democracy, for dissenting voices to be heard in the National Assembly. So it's a good thing. This, at least men of integrity have come out to say that we will not allow that to stand. So that's a good thing.
Atiku Abubakar, I must say a big thank you to you for joining us on News Night tonight. We just hope that the leadership of the House is able to put its act together and then give us a formidable 10th National Assembly that Nigerians do deserve.